Volante is a challenger and a leader in the payments processing space. And the way we look at our customers is as our partners, and we go beyond having a vendor and a customer relationship, and we work towards a partnership relationship. And whatever we're going to propose here is just the surface. In our experience, our approach towards our customers goes way deeper. Now, what we offer, our proposition is, and what we call as WorldPay ecosystem, and host-to-host connectivity, or as we call it, corporate technical onboarding, is a key aspect of our acquisition mechanism. What we offer is one digital solution for every type of transformation, every type of communication, irrespective of the communication protocols. And once the file, transaction, instruction, whatever a corporate needs to process with the bank is received, we offer a business solution that can perform various pre-processing capabilities as well. So whether it is enrichment, whether it is validation, whether structural or business validations, whether it's orchestration of these files, so debulking the file, sending half of it or failed files to a certain level and rest of it forwarded to a bank's payment engine to process. We manage all of that. In the process of doing all of this, we also can send out alerts and notifications to peripheral systems, whether they are bank's internal systems or to the customer directly. On the outgoing side, in terms of orchestration, the transformation can be applied again. So there could be cases where the file comes in, say, a proprietary format, which could be flat, which could be one of the empty formats, which could be a bit more ISO based. But on the outgoing side, you can reformat it based on the destination, and you can have all of that configured, whether it's the mappings between the transformations, whether it's the actual transformations themselves. We can do all of that using the business rules and also various other configurations that we provide. Now, beyond the solution itself, the key aspect of the solution is speed to market and how quickly we can do it. And implementation was a question which was raised a couple of times. So this is a cloud agnostic solution. We're not just services based, we're microservices based. All right. This was a solution which was built from the ground up for the modern financial industry. So you can have decoupled services. And I'll talk about the ecosystem in a minute, but you can have decoupled services. You can have very customer focused services that you offer to various corporate customers. So it's cloud agnostic. We are gold partners with Microsoft. We are partners with top tier partners with AWS. We've got live customers in both, one in the US in form of Goldman Sachs. We've got a customer in UAE as well. And we do hybrid models as well, private cloud, public cloud. We support all of that. The second aspect is integrations and transformations. We've spoken about it, but out of the box, the solution offers 90 plus industry global standards. So whether they're card formats 85, 83, whether they are ISO 20022, whether they are any other type of proprietary format, trade messages for that matter, doesn't matter. You have the libraries ready, and whatever comes up in the future will be added to the kitty. So using these 90 plus global standards, you can develop your own transformations. You have about 250 plus already out of the box, but you can develop your own. All of this without any code changes, everything done through a visual modeling tool and which reduces your speed to market and your cost of development as well, because the customers, the corporate's not going to be, they're going to ask for more, right? And it's not just going to be one corporate, it's not just going to be one SME or MSME. The changes, the needs are going to keep changing. And this is a solution which makes you self-sufficient. You don't have to come back to us for these functional aspects, whether it's transformations, whether it's integration. You can do it, most of it yourself. In terms of timelines, in our experience, it varies between, because of various variables, but in our experience, we've done 6 weeks MVP and about 10 weeks of final code dump. So we follow certain best practices which improve the speed to implementation. Because the solution is so robust, we have handled huge volumes. We've handled huge TPS and so on and so forth. that's about the solution. In terms of details of how a bank user can look at these solutions and can use these libraries, as I said, most of the industry standards, if they're supported today, is going to be part of the platform that you would get. In the future, if anything else comes up, you will have that as well. In terms of using these standards, you have the transformations which are out of the box, but then you can build it yourself using very sort of a friendly user interface, simple user interface, which helps you in mapping, visual modeling of things to be done beyond validation. So a basic workflow for enrichment, validation, everything can be used visually, and it provides you those blocks, and you can drag and drop, and you can decide what decisions have to be made before the payment or the instruction of the file has to be sent out.
Apologies, I have to interrupt you. Sorry for that, Ajay, but the time is up. So let's be fair with everyone. I'll leave the floor for questions from the judges. Thank you.
Thank you. Ajay, thanks a lot.
Sure.
So again, I know Volante offers a full payment orchestration capability. So this is integral to that entire engine, or similar to my earlier question, or is this something which comes as a standalone utility?
So, and that, okay. So we need, what we offer is an ecosystem. This is part of that ecosystem. This is independent if you want it, but because you would have access to the ecosystem, rest of the capabilities that I mentioned, whether they're end-to-end file processing, payment processing, connectivity with the final clearance, you can have that done as well. But in this case, the focus is host-to-host connectivity, and that's what we're offering. You will have the entire ecosystem at your disposal. As I said, it's a microservices-based solution. You will have very loosely decoupled services, and you can deploy it in various ways in your containerized platform.
So let me rephrase this. So if we want to just start with host to host, would it require a full payment engine implementation, or we can just implement host to host?
Just implement host to host.
Okay. And you mentioned about pre-configured, pre-mapped message formats and templates. And anything beyond that is something which comes with a toolkit, or is this something which your technical team or our technical team will have to develop jointly with client? Right. How does it work?
So the solution comes with what we call as a designer platform. It's an integrated development environment. You can call it an SDK, which enables your developers, your analysts, your QAs to visually model transformations, mappings, even pre-processing workflows if need be. So you will have access to this tool, which you can use for transformation, you can use for integrations, and basically generating code, runtime code that could be deployed either on your middleware or Volante software directly. You will have access to it, you will have training for it. In our experience, over a period of time, once the bank and the prospect customer has enough experience on it, you don't really need to come to us. And I would like to take a name of a customer, which is public information. Nedbank in South Africa uses this for the entire functional middleware. So and it's a big bank in South Africa, and they've got roots across other parts of Africa as well. The application of the solution are sort of exponential, like really huge, and you can sort of really own and control the entire thing.
Sure. And while this seems like a quite a comprehensive engine, as you explained, serving various endpoints, have you had any experience in connecting it to a small client, like in the SME segment?
So we've had a lot of implementations where the customers have been of various sizes. So from bigger corporates to smallers, it doesn't really matter from our perspective. It can be scaled up, or sort of based on the need of a corporate, whether the file size or communication protocols are simple or complicated. Doesn't really matter from our perspective. We've had experiences of both types of prospects.
We need to add on to that the customer segment is not relevant from a solution standpoint. The solution has got the flexibility and the scalability to cater for a major ERP or solutions that a corporate might have, or also cater for proprietary structures that a SME type infrastructure would have. So from a solution standpoint, there is nothing which restricts or a bank from scaling it across the spectrum of customers.
So we saw the flow. What about does it come with a dashboard for the bank or for the client?
Yes, Volante comes with a dashboard which is typically used by the operational users within the bank to monitor the flow of transactions, or even set up the workflow that is needed for a particular acquisition process that you want to set up for a corporate, inclusive of the level of acknowledgements that you want to send back to the corporate, at what stages you want to send in, if you want to define any thresholds, error thresholds. All those capabilities are embedded as part of the platform, and that's something which can be done through the UI, Vineet.
And this is what you would train the bank users to do, or this would be done from your end?
So the initial implementation is something that would be done as part of our team, and there would be an enablement journey that we would be doing for training the bank or your SI. If within your IT team you have an SI partner, we would enable them as well, so that if you want to onboard a corporate who's got a file format which is proprietary to them, how you could onboard that particular corporate and do the relevant transformation associated with that corporate is something that we would train you as well, Vineet, so that you can be self-sufficient in your journey.
Okay.
I have one query. In your slide, I saw MT940, MT942 and other formats.
Mm-hmm.
Just curiosity, because MT940 is a pretty much simple, straightforward daily statement. About MT942, so are you connecting to the core bank to getting this information so that you will be sending it out, or how you are supporting MT942?
So it'll be an integration with the core banking, Kedar, because the line 42s or any statements for that matter will be generated out of a core banking. All that we'll be doing is that we'll be taking that information from your relevant systems and conveying that feedback back onto the corporate in whatever structure or format that they would look for.
Okay. And you will be able to send MT942 only to customer, or you will be able to integrate with banks Swift for sending it out on a particular week as per our agreement with the customer?
We can support either as it can be a direct interaction with the corporate to send it to their ERPs directly, or we can send it. We can connect to your Swift network for sending it via your the Swift gateway that you have.
Okay, I have one more query, which may not be relevant. I don't know whether your platform can be used by any way for the purpose of collections, something related to collection area, or is it predominantly only in the payments area?
Well, okay, if you can just
elaborate. Yeah.
I mean, see, there are multiple solutions like Kobo, Pobo, and there are a lot of things there in the collections. So whether it can be tweaked, or you have anything which can be used for the purpose of collections.
So for us, it's a payment file, or it's a file that's going to be initiated by the corporate for which can cover their AR or AP requirements. So from our perspective, as a host to, if I just isolate it to a host-to-host type solution, it's going to be a set of transactions that the customer would be initiating, which will then result into either into a payment or a collection request as part of the processing lifecycle within the bank. Okay. And yeah.
Okay. And I am not asking you the questions because you are in the payment area. I mean, you must be supporting all
yes.
MT, IXO, PEN, and 700 series, 900 series, everything. correct?
That's
From
right.
the processing perspective. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. That's it. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Hi, Vijay. Ajay, sorry. During your presentation, you mentioned the SDK. What are the functionalities supported by that SDK?
So, like I said, transformation and integration is an essential component of the overall solution. We offer certain things out of the box, but anything that has to be customized in terms of, well, I shouldn't say customized, configured for a certain corporate or an SME, someone will have to do those mappings, communications, integrations, as we call it. So all these aspects, validations, enrichments, all these aspects can be taken care by the SDK. So you'll have a UI where you can build, we call it cartridges, transformations. You can build transformations, and you can sort of build visual workflows where you can drag and drop and say, all right, if a message comes in, a file comes in, and if this is the attribute, I want to change this attribute with something else because of certain decision-making logic, right? So these kind of things you can do visually. Now the result of it, and again, this is a component of the overall solution, the result of it is going to be a jar file or a WAR file, which will be deployed within the solution, which is the Volante ecosystem, as we said. But it is also possible to generate this code and deploy on an independent middleware, and that's the flexibility, robustness that you would get from this this IDE, as we call it, integrated development environment. It's more of a development environment rather than an SDK, I would say. Did I answer your question?
Can we integrate that SDK as part of our internet or mobile banking?
Can you?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I mean, again, see, the SDK is nothing but a tool that Ajay was referring to. And through that tool, whatever output you generate can be deployed as an independent entity into either as a jar file or a WAR file, or it can also be an API which can be generated for any communication. I mean, like we've done. If I look at it from pure host-to-host and extension of the host-to-host capability, I mean, this is something that some of our customers are using it for offering some kind of value-added services as well.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions from the judges? Hamad, Vineet, all is good? Perfect.
There is just one more thing, Melissa, just one more thing. I would request either Subbu or Ajay to throw some more light on the new art of possibility that the platform can give, and wherein NBB can service other fintechs, other customers, other banks through them, and it can become a new revenue source for them as well, apart from the as-is requirement, which is there in terms of the host-to-host, which we are currently discussing. Can you pick it up, guys?
Right. So, and I think that was one of the questions as well, right? I mean, you do want to cater to your customers, but beyond that, beyond catering to your existing customers, how do you use this infrastructure which you can invest in to generate more revenue? And because it's a payments as a service, again, on the connectivity side though, on technical onboarding side though, you can leverage this. You can build a platform, and this is an approach. You can build a platform with us as a partner where you can offer these services, whether it's a validation service, whether it's a transformation service, whether it's end-to-end connectivity, host technical onboarding for corporates to other banks, even fintechs. You know, it's an API game. It's how easily you allow these players in the industry to enter the platform. And that's something we really believe that could be the next horizon beyond going and talking to customers and sort of processing their files. You can leverage the platform to build an ecosystem, build a platform that can be leveraged to generate more revenue and use your existing infrastructure to offer to banks, fintechs, and even SMEs and corporates directly.
Just to give you one more, to add a little more color to it, Vineet, before we sign off. See, what we did in US was a very small case, very small use case, but as an organization, we believe it's not just catering to our partners, it's more so about catering to the industry as a whole. So for NACHA validations, we had a portal whereby, you know, the commercial banks can upload the formats, or even the corporates can upload the formats, and they would get a return back in terms of whether that specific format is in alliance with the NACHA formats or not. If not, we would return them, you know, that these are the changes you need to amend or repair and things like that. So these are things and multiple use cases which we have been doing over a period of time. There was another lovely use case which we did in the UK with one of the tier 1 banks, in which we generated we released one of our screens also to them, where the corporates, you know, for Oyster cards, to get refunds from Oyster cards when people walk out of UK. Typically, nobody has the time to, you know, deposit it and then take the refund back, but it is always stacked against you, and it lies as a cash from a bank perspective, from the London Underground perspective, which they have to give. So the bank came to us to develop this use case. We developed it for them, whereby they would release based on that tagging of the proxy. So typically when you take an Oyster card, you would either give your email ID or your mobile number. So when you give those, we generate a link, which is either through SMS or through emails, and it goes to that specific person. So the interesting part is, as a bank and as Volpay, we are pushing the onus to the customer. You fill in the details, it gives the complete ownership to the customer. You give us where you want the money, how you want the money, whether you want it back in your credit card or you want it in your bank account, which currency, and then eventually we honor that payment in the whole life cycle of and the scheme of things. A lot of other use cases, I mean, we can delve more in it when we go further, if we go further, fingers crossed. But we wanted to submit that this is something which we have been doing over a period of time. And we not only take, as Ajay said, and as your first question in terms of whether we are modular, we are actually not even modular, we are granular. We pick up things in terms of specific use cases. So we typically call itself like a chiclet diagram. You can pick up whatever chiclet you want in the whole piece of the puzzle. And that puzzle piece we will embed in your complete ecosystem to give you the end-to-end offering of the complete life cycle as you desire. I think that's my final submission.